So today guys, you are super lucky. Imagine this, you're going to be able to see me in tights, I know, and a white beater top. Like normally, to see me in this sort of stuff, people have to go on OnlyFans, you know. It's a real treat for you. I don't have OnlyFans, okay, just to get that out there. In case people start asking me for, nobody's going to ask me for my username. But, so I'm really excited today. I know a few days ago, I made a video and it was an update on my training, and one of the things I said was that I wasn't probably going to do a competition until November or December. You know me with plans, they change, okay? So, I have, this is an announcement for my next competition, which I'm doing Havoc on Hunger Hill, which is on the 28th of August in Thurles in Tipperary. Now, I was supposed to do a competition on the 7th of August, and I pulled out of that because I had a couple of niggles, a couple of injuries, but I'm finally starting to get over them. I'm pretty much back to 100%, but I just didn't have time to train. And a lot of the events at that competition were events that I really, they were weaker events for me, or some of them were, and I would have needed to train properly for it. So I wasn't able to commit to that just because, you know, I wouldn't have done it justice at all. Whereas this competition coming up at the end of August, it's a little bit more my thing, where I'm fairly comfortable with some of the events, and it sort of leaves me a bit freer that I have to focus on one or two things, and I should still be able to compete at a good level. So, this video I'm just going to go through the actual competition itself, what it's going to entail. So I'm in the over 95s category. A lot of good competitors in there. It's going to be really tough, but it's going to be really fun, and like I said, there's a lot of really cool events in there. So we're starting off with our 18-inch axle deadlift for reps. So this, a normal barbell on Olympic plates would be at the bottom of the bar from the ground, would be about 9 inches off the ground. This is going to be double that. So it's sort of like a rack pull. You're a lot higher in your starting position, a lot of upper back involved. Won't get too much into telling you about the actual move itself, but it's going to be really fun. I haven't actually done this in competition before. I haven't trained it that much. Normally, you don't, bar obviously for upper back, and it's good for building muscle, and it's good for rack pulls and stuff like that, but it doesn't help your conventional deadlift that much, whereas conventional deadlift covers both. So that's why I normally concentrate on conventional deadlift. Saying that, it's an axle bar, so there's no rotation. It's a really thick bar, 50mm bar, and it makes grip very tough. We'll be using straps for this, but it is a very tough move, but I'm really excited about this. So moving on to event number 2, which you'll see from my last competition, it's one of my stronger moves, is the Yoke Walk. In the last competition I had 20 meters, this one it's 40 meters. 20 meters, drop, turn around, and 20 meters back. Again, I'd be fairly confident on this move. It is a good one for me. So it's one that I will obviously train, but I can sort of push it down the priority list. So that's good for me. The next one up is my dumbbell press, and obviously, again, for the last competition, the dumbbell press was one that I'd never done before. I've only sort of started it in the last 4 or 5 months. Made huge leaps with it, but it is going to be a tough one for me. I'm fairly happy. Again, it's for reps, so the weight's a little bit lower. I've definitely done the weight before, so I should be able to do alright in that. After that, we're on to another one of my favourites, which is the farmer's walk. So again, it's a 40 metre, it's 20 metres out, drop, turn, 20 metres back. So the carries have always been my strong area. So the yoke and farmers, that's 2 carries that I'd be fairly confident with and I'd be fairly happy with. Now, for anybody that is doing competitions, the one variation with farmers walks is that a lot of of different farmers walks from different suppliers or even homemade ones. They're very different styles, and the handle height is a big thing. So if the handles are up higher, it's usually a little bit easier. You're more in a standing position and you can get up a little bit quicker. The lower it is, obviously the harder it becomes. It's like a hex bar deadlift. You've got the high handles and the low handles. If you go to the high handles, it's a little bit more, it's just a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier to get into the starting position, and you can use a little bit more leg drive, stuff like that. So that is one thing that you do have to keep in mind when you're looking at a farmer's walk. Doing farmer's walk on one implement, you might be able to do 120 kg each hand. You switch it to a different implement, maybe have thicker handles, it's a lot harder to keep the grip, you might be down to 100 kg. So it is something you have to be aware of. You can't just go, farmer's walk, it's done, happy with that, I can tick that off the list. And then lastly, we're on to definitely what's going to be my toughest of the whole lot, is the Atlas stone over a bar. So it's going to be, from what I'm hearing, it's going to be just a little bit more than 4 foot. So 48 inches plus, maybe up to 50, 52 at the max, I'd say. And it's 120 kg Atlas stone. Now, I've just recently, luckily enough, gotten a set of Atlas stones. I had a couple of 80s before. Now I've got 100 and 115. So this will help me a lot. However, haven't really done, there was no Atlas stones in the last competition, haven't done Atlas stones in quite a while, and even then, because I didn't have them, I was going to 80 kg. So it's going to be tough. That's a big jump in 4 weeks. And not only is it a big jump, but it's for reps. So it's not like I just do 1 rep and that's it. Thankfully, I can walk away. I need to do multiple reps on this. It's the last event. It's probably going to be a big decider at that stage. I would hope to be somewhere close to the top in the results by that stage. I'm never supposed to really give those sort of predictions because, you know, it might all go wrong. You never know on the day. However, I'm feeling fairly confident going into this competition. I still have those couple of injuries. I still have a bit of tendonitis in both of the arms at the moment, which again, any of the events, they're not too bad for putting a bit of pressure on those biceps. However, the Atlas stone does. You try and stay away from the biceps as much as possible. You try and keep those arms as straight as possible. And again, I'll put up the video. I don't want to talk too much about it. I'll put up the tutorial on how to do Atlas stones. However, the bigger the stone you go to, the more you're having to curve those arms to get the hands in under. And the more curve you have in your arms, the more pressure is going to be on the bicep and on the bicep tendon. So that is a little bit of a worry that's in my head. However, I think the other events are very, very strong for me, and it leaves it that the dumbbell and the Atlas stone are the 2 moves that I really have to work on, whereas the last competition I was doing, because it was my first, and I hadn't done most of the actual moves before, I hadn't really done them, I had a load of different, I had something like 9, 10 different moves, and I think 8 of them I had to work. They were first timers for me, and I had to work really hard on them. So the difference, and I'm a lot more relaxed going into this competition, the difference is I know I can do a couple of these moves. I've already hit those weights before, so I'm comfortable with them. So now I can pick the couple of moves, go right, I need to work on them. Those ones, I'll keep training them, of course. You don't go, can do that, and then stop training it. You'll always still train it, but it's not maximal effort anymore. So that's, for anybody out there that is thinking of doing the first competition, your first is going to be the hardest. It's the one where everyone will say, and I'll say the same thing, just enjoy it, because you're trying to go from 0 up to a really, really high level, or relatively 0 to a really, really high level and be able to compete. Now, the problem with that, that's a big gap. But when you're going into your second competition, you're already possibly at 80%, 90%. So you've got to go up a little bit. And especially if there's different moves, you have to go up a little bit. But because you're already at that level, the jump is very, very small. It becomes an awful lot easier. So the first competition, always the hardest, always the most motivational to a point, but demotivational at the same time. There's very, very different aspects of it. But always push through. It's one of those, it's like an initiation. You have to go through it, and then it becomes an awful lot easier after that. So, sorry, I've turned into another sort of motivational speech, but don't allow the toughness of that first competition to put you off. Always keep pushing through, it becomes easier, trust me. Getting to that point, if there is anybody out there that does want to do a competition, especially down here in Ireland, we don't get a huge amount of competitions going on. This one is a great start. There is an under 95s category, there's the women's category as well. As far as I'm aware, most of the categories still have spaces. I will put up the link in the description below. I think it's the 7th of August is the final entry date. Don't quote me on that. But go to the link. They're definitely still taking entries at the moment. And it's a great competition to start off with. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I say, don't worry about not being able to do certain weights on certain implements. Go and experience it. It's all about building up experience, and it's such a fun day. You meet so many people. It's just a great motivational thing for continuing with Strongman, just to do that first competition. I'm also really excited. There's going to be a couple of amazing guest judges there on the day that I'm really excited to meet. So we've got Michael Downey, who's the current Irish Open log press record holder. So really impressive athlete, and I'm really excited to meet him. And we've also got David Jones coming down, who's Republic of Ireland's strongest man in 2020. So I'm really, really excited to meet these guys. They are big names in the strongman sport, and especially here in Ireland. So that's going to be a big plus on the day. I'm really, really excited for this competition. I'm setting myself up for failure here. I really, really am. But I would be disappointed if I'm not on the podium at the end of this competition. I feel like the events are well suited for me. I feel like I'm in a good position for this. Saying that, you never know, injuries on the day, anything can happen. So there's my little get out clause. So yeah, I've set myself up for failure, but also given myself a little bit of a get out just in case it happens. But I really hope you can join me along the way. I'll be putting up my training, and I'll also be putting up some tutorials on different moves. So please keep liking the videos. Thank you so much for all the support I've gotten. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.